Everybody desires to have a roof over their heads, but majority don't know the science behind buying, developing, securing, and protecting the land. Have you or somebody you know ever fallen victim to land grabbers? Have you ever witnessed or heard of a case lost over land for lack of required documents? Have you ever witnessed a structure being demolished by the government for not doing it right? Do you have a registered title document for that your property? Do you have a planning permit for that building you're living in or presently constructing? Do you even engage the service of a professional during construction? Do you think that hope is lost on your building without documents? What documents do you even have on your existing building that your children can use to claim ownership after your demise? All these are mind-boggling issues that require immediate answers and actions to avoid being left behind. You really need someone who can explain to you in detail the step-by-step procedure on how to do it in the right way without confusion. I am happy to inform you that you have within your reach well-seasoned professionals and experienced officers in the built environment who are ready to educate you on all issues related to land procurement, development, documentation, planning, and government policies on land.
At Cable Plus Property, our aim is to ensure that all Nigerians and non-Nigerians have at the tip of your finger every information related to land and landed properties. We provide you with all that you need to know about land acquisition, land procurement, building construction, documentation, and obtaining your planning permit. So what do you think the society will lose without town planning? From your explanation, it seems to be a very inevitable part of our society. So what is there to lose if you do not have town planners and their profession?
What's there to lose when a human being doesn't plan his life? It turns out to be anything. And that's why people generally say that when you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. But let me quote Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers, who lived between 470 BC and 399 BC. He said, by far the greatest and most admirable form of wisdom is that needed to plan and beautify cities and human communities. So if Socrates realized that it requires wisdom to plan, it means that if you now refuse to plan, you will lose the beauty that is supposed to come to human settlements. And then chaos sets in. And when chaos sets in, you have inconvenience, you have stress, you have a breakdown of infrastructure, a breakdown of those facilities that man is supposed to enjoy within his environment. Summarily, I always say that we either plan or we perish. So if we do not plan, we are heading for doom.
What is the relevance of a layout plan?
Oh, okay. Layout, as we normally say, it's usually for a small community or even neighborhood. Let me say neighborhood. You have a land of in Lagos State. The law is that, or regulation, when your land is above a size 1 hectare or 2.5 acres, you must have a layout plan. And the relevance is that you have that kind of a big land. The use of, you're going to subdivide it. In that layout, you have a road, you have plots for various uses. So it is the layout that will say, this particular plot, this is what you can use it for. If you go beyond that, it will say, if you can build, you're going to build a house there, the layout will also tell you, this is the type of house that you can build. Oh, you can build a 4-floor structure. You can have a building of 4 family units. I mentioned 4 earlier. Or you can have more than 1 duplex. You can have 2 duplex, semi-detached. And it will let you know this is the house. Okay, less than 1 kilometer to the house, there will be primary school to show that. Then if we need to do a play area. It will let you have a play area. The one you can call it children playground. So everything will be there.
Development control activities in the past were not as difficult as it is now, even though people were not so educated then. Why does it seem like things have become more difficult and people find it difficult to adhere strictly to planning regulations? Why is that?
Now there's a reason. In those days that we are talking about, how many developments were coming up per month in a defined area? There was lesser number of developments. Therefore, the planning personnel were adequate. Let me the number. Though we've always found that planners, we never have enough planners. But in those days, they were not as stretched as we have now. And the extent of development being controlled was not as wide as it is now. You can imagine in those days, if you were in Abeokuta, the extent of development is still within almost just the core area. But now if you are in Abeokuta, development has extended to Obadaoko, Odeda, almost as far as Kobakwe and all that. Therefore, development points are becoming more remote to the control points. And of course, we should not take away the fact that facilities available are not going in tandem with the demand of the development rates. And of course, we are becoming also more aware of the danger of non-compliance.
According to the law, it is an offense for a developer to embark on any construction without a planning permit. In what way do you think a planning permit can be responsible for a building collapse?
It will be. Incidentally, I was part of those who moved for that, especially the Lagos State one. I was at the State House of Assembly, and I remember they asked me to present a paper on that when we were pushing for this, okay, for this law, Lagos State law. I presented a paper to the House and all that, and that gave birth to this. And that's why you have the building control, Lagos State Building Control Agency today and all that. So it is a good thing. It is a good thing when you obtain a permit for your work. Are you getting me? When you obtain a permit for your work, it's a very good thing because a lot of check and balances will come in. And it's even better for the clients. Are you getting me? Because all those ones, as you are presenting your paper, there are certain things they will look at in your design. They will look at the setback. They will look at the airspace. I'm sure those are familiar terminologies to you. They will look at the airspace. They will look at the setbacks and all that and make sure that the building is functional. Because somebody can construct a building that's not functional. Are you getting me? And so also prevent collapse. Because while you are doing that, there's something they call state certification. Just 2 days ago, certification was launched by the governor and all that. It's very important because anytime there is a collapse, there is an enormous waste of human and material resources. People are killed, materials are wasted, and so the government cannot sit back and watch that this happens.
Okay, how can building collapse be avoided, especially in this present economic situation?
Well, it can be avoided if we try to do the right thing, employing the right professionals into the job, employing the right artisans into the job, and follow the guidelines. The guidelines by the building code, it's quite explicit, it's clear. The National Building Code explains. In fact, before the National Building Code, we have the building regulations. The building regulations specify some little things, but the National Building Code even specifies the minimum safety standards for all these things. And it is not comprised, it is not made up by the architects alone. All the 6 professionals I named earlier, the engineers, the quantity surveyor, So if we follow those things and we follow up with control, when I say follow is control this time around, I know Lagos State is doing well on that area. They have a body called LAPSCA that will go and keep on checking on the building. They will even test the reinforcement at the standard. If LAPSCA continues at that, doing that, the building collapse will be very minimal. Checking everything at different stages. At this level, we are checking the floor. At this level, we are checking. Then I tell you, the building collapse will be, first they have to get approval. Most of the buildings that collapses may not even get the right approval in the first instance. Some will get approval for 2-story structure. They will go and build 3-story structures. All the drawings they submitted were two levels, ground floor, first floor. But they went on and built 3 stories. And they go to site. So when you have such problems, I'm still going back to the control issue. The control is important. If we can control the professionals to do good job, we control the contractor to ensure that the contractors are doing the right thing, the building collapse will be very minimal, very, very minimal.
Considering the challenges and complexities involved, how do we enhance the participation of women in the land acquisition process?
Okay, so we just completed a study on home ownership aspirations in some low-income communities, and we discovered from talking to women, we spoke to about 50 women, asking them about their home ownership status, about their home ownership aspirations. And the general consensus was that many of them were not concerned about home ownership at this stage in their lives, particularly those who had children in school. Their focus was to get their children to have, a leg up in life. And so, getting women to start to aspire to land ownership or to have the opportunities for land ownership start with ensuring that the basic services are in place. So where you have education that is guaranteed, then the woman doesn't have to worry about having to go in search of an extra job to put her children in school or to keep her children in school. She can then focus her income on other things. So we found out that many of them also have this aspiration that if my child is able to cross this barrier and transit out of poverty, then the child will be able to take care of me. So for many women, actually, home ownership or land acquisition is not a priority. Rather, their priority is to have their children transit out of poverty so that they can secure a better life for themselves and consequently for them.
Okay, so some members of the public have been hearing about Physical Planning and Building Control Appeals Committee. Can you explain to the viewers what this committee is all about? When was it appointed and why did the Lagos State government appoint the committee?
Thank you very much. My explanation will be drawn from the law, Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning Law, which in itself is the basis for practicing or regulating planning in the state. It has been on since 1998 that apart from practicing or regulating the urban and regional planning in the state, there is need to adjudicate between the aggrieved members of the public and the agencies of government wherever there are applications rejected or for reasons, if you have any reasons for not agreeing with the agencies. So it took time to set up the appeals committee. So this current committee was set up under the Urban and Regional Planning Law 2019. Either it was 2010, but now amended in 2019 to really be able to put it in place. And it took the current administration of Mr. Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to really take the courage to set it up. And it was not set up really for the members of the public alone,
Okay.
but even the agencies may have reasons to also take their cases to the appeals committee. So it's under the law, section 82 to 89. It specifies the constitution, the membership, the functions, the powers, and also what is very interesting there is that your case will not stop at the appeals committee. If you are still aggrieved, either party can go to the High Court of Lagos State, which will be the final appellate body to decide on matters relating to physical planning and bidding control. Physical planning and bidding control. The functions are strictly specified. Any matter relating to physical planning and bidding control in Lagos State.
So
and
would
it was set up in December 2nd, 2019. Yes.
Why do you think planning permits is necessary? A lot of
Good. That's a good question. I like it. You see, because we have not made the public understand that getting planning permit is in their interest. So they think you are harassing them, that you are asking them to do it because the government wants money. No. Let me explain to the average person on the streets. When your house does not have a planning permit, if it is a sensible country, nobody will take it from you for security, for taking loans. But because it's a stupid country, the banks don't insist you have a planning approval. And I think I did a lot of going around professional bodies when I was the president of Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, trying to sensitize. I went to, because fortunately, Institute of Bankers is a member of Association of Professional Bodies. I went to them. I said, you people, you don't know that when a building has no planning permit, it has a zero value. Because if for any reason government demolishes it, government will not pay compensation because it's an illegal structure. I said, so why don't you go to your bankers committee and let the bankers committee understand that when the building has no approval, the value is zero. It's an illegal structure. I said, so that's why you can't borrow with a build that has no approval. 2, and that's why the whole thing is messed up. The value, when you say go and do me evaluation of a building, I went to the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors, I told them the value of that building is zero. You see, if the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers have enforced that, people will have understood better. But unfortunately, the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers will go ahead and value, and those people will now carry the valuation done by the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors to the bank, and the bank will take it. And that is where, as far as I'm concerned, the fault is in the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. I don't know where the land estate surveying, where they think when the building has no planning permit, it has a value. I don't know where they land it. Unfortunately for them, I was in the estate surveying profession for 2 years with Onokame and Partners, and they know. So, if today the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors now get their axis right, they now say, before you can value any property, they must have a planning permit. You will see the changes it will make.
So what is a survey plan and how does it look? Would like if you can show the viewers a survey plan.
A survey plan is a plan that shows the specific point, the exact point acquired either by a person, private organization, or government. See, a survey plan contains so many parameters. 1, it must get a title. 2, it must get a zone. That is this zone 30 or zone 31, UTM which you are using today. 2, it must get the origin. 4, it must get an area. 5, it must get the coordinates, which shows the exact point. Eastings, where Eastings and Northings cross, that's the coordinate point.
Yes.
Okay. During letting of a property in which the transaction is directly between the landlord and the tenant,
Okay.
some landlords demand for agency fee. Like they ask you to pay for agency fee, damages, agreements, commission, and all of that. What do you think about it?
Now,
What is your take on
government
this?
has been making efforts, especially government of Lagos has been making effort to ensure that proper things are done. For example, okay, you are demanding for agency fee. Agency fee should be for a service rendered. To who? Who is the beneficiary of that services? Whoever is the beneficiary of that service pays. For example, sorry, if you permit me, assuming if I want to use it as a hypothetical case, you are a landlord, you approach me, I'm a property agent or agency surveyor or something. That's another name that we are called, agency surveyor. So you approach me to let your property. Okay, so it's very criminal of me to now go outside you to ask for agency fee. It's you that is my principal that will pay that agency fee to me because I'm rendering that service on your behalf. So it's like you employed me and you are paying me what I'm entitled to. That agency, but it has to be rated based on the value or amount of money that is involved. So the landlord pays because it's the one we're getting the services of. But now asking a third party to pay you agency fee, no. And that's what government has been trying to emphasize. Whoever give you a job to do, pay for your services.
So what is your advice to developers, landowners, and land speculators in terms of safety during construction and land acquisition?
Safety. Well, safety is important. It's part of the planning standards that are set in there, even when you get your approval. And like I said initially, I said planning is restrictive. I want to build a house. I want to put on 6 floors there. You are on airport part where the plane will be flying. You can't go 4 floors. You can only be bungalow. And I said, I've spent so much on land. That's not the issue. Before you buy your land, you must do your search. Before you buy your land, proper search must be done, investigation. You give a brief to those who are searching for your land. I want a land. I want to build 4 floors. From those briefs, they will start looking for which area you can build your 4 floors. You don't buy a land finished and then you now come back and say you want 4 floors by all means. It can't be by all means. You have to follow the scheme for that area. That's why development plans are there to guide you. And so these are where we started having problems.
So in a layman's language, what is the meaning of rule of law? When a lawyer like you says this rule of law, what does it mean? And also in parlance to rule of planning law, what do these 2 concepts mean?
Okay, flowing from the first explanation, my previous explanation, the rule of law is the basis of everything, that you must obey the rule of law because it affects you as government, as individual. It's a thing that we must obey. We have created this law for ourselves, either through legislative, either through traditional, either through customary. We have created the law. So if we deviated from obeying the law, it affects us. So that's why when you commit an offense, you say your sanctions is based on the rule of law. So also with planning, planning, as I said earlier on, all the various other regulations and laws is to make sure that you do things that will not affect the other party adversely.
Who is an architect and what roles do they play?
Thank you very much. The name again?
Oisa.
Oisa, all right. Now, an architect is someone who is responsible for the design and plans out, the building or the space, whether above the ground or below the ground or inside the ground. And it's responsible not only for the design, but for overseeing to the construction of the building to make it come true.
Moving on quickly, what are some of the conditions that's required for the grant of a petrol or gas station? Now, I'm asking this because, you know, if you can't walk a road in Lagos State and not count 3-5 petrol stations, I mean, side by side on the road, and you wonder, okay, do we just decide to build a fuel station anywhere you like? What are the conditions that have to be met?
Okay, thank you. Before that, you also asked me about the time duration for processing of application.
Yes.
Yes, that's also very important. And I'm going to also use this platform to inform the good people of Lagos State that for us, at LASPA, we are doing everything that is humanly possible and according to our regulations 2019 as amended and the Urban and Regional Plan and Development Law to ensure that we process this application within 10 working days. 10 working days. That we are going to conclude everything.
Okay, so you mentioned plan preparation, and can you explain what a scheme is and what are the features of a scheme?
Thank you very much. A scheme, to a layman, I can call it an estate.
Okay.
Yes. Simply, it is it's a conception of a government, a group of people, or an individual to acquire a land in a particular area and divide the land into plots and for residential and for other ancillary uses within that space. So a scheme is basically an estate or an area that government or individual, as I've said, has developed for people to live, to work, and also to recreate.
So between the year 2014 and 2020, you were the head of the Lagos State Planning Information Center. So what are the major functions of the center and how can the public benefit from it? Because as you know, this show is primarily for the enlightenment, sensitization, and education of the public to provide them with information that they need to know about, you know, land and landed properties. So how does that center, the Lagos State Planning Information Center, help them?
Okay, thank you very much. Lagos State Information Center is saddled with 3 basic responsibilities.
Okay.
That is archival and retrieval, electronic archival and retrieval of planning documents. What I mean by electronic archival and retrieval of planning document is that the department will have to archive all the existing and the new planning documents, that is planning permit, model city plan, and so on and so forth. After archival, the individual can apply. Maybe your document got lost and you need a copy. In this department, you can apply, but that is at a fee.
Okay.
You can apply for your document and you'll be given.
So what is transportation and what should members of the public expect from a good transport system? What makes a good transport system?
Thank you very much for the privilege and for the invitation. If you look at land, and if you also look at distribution of resources, you discover that the wants and the needs of man cannot be found in one location. And if even you have your landed property, other things that will make you function as a human being are not available in that building that you call your structure. So you need to move from one location to another. That is from point A to point B, depending on which of the points you want to visit. In the process of achieving that, you need interaction. And interaction cannot take place without transportation. So transport is a means through which you interact with various activities, with the nature, with the environment, unrestricted. And in the process of achieving and actualizing your needs, you actually need transportation to do that. So transportation goes beyond interaction. It involves applying various means, which you now call modes of transport, in order to achieve your desired objective. So without transport, there is no essence for life. Because you want to buy something in the market, you have to go there, and you need transport to get there. You want to go to the hospital, you want to go to school, you want to go to work, you want to go for recreation. Since all these activities cannot be found in the location that you are, for you to benefit and to enjoy them, you need to relocate and move to all those places. That means that makes it possible for you to enjoy all those luxuries of life is transport. So in our daily life, transport is like the veins of human body. The day transport stops functioning, that is the end of the build.
Still talking about building now, what is your take on building collapse? What do you think are the major causes, and who should take the blame for it?
Who should take the blame? Number one person is the client.
The client?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, you may be surprised. It's the client. For example, you want to build a house in a poor, relatively poor, even if it's a very good soil area, and you tell the client, "Okay, you have to do soil test." He said, "No. They didn't do soil test in the next house. So why do I have to waste my money?" The question is, how much is this money we are talking about? For example, there was a project we are handling for a government. It's about 2 billion naira. We had to come there as a supervisory consultant, already designed. Then I said, "Where is the soil test?" They said, "There's no soil test." You are building a 2 billion naira project without a soil test. I said, "Well, Mr. Governor, you have to stop this project." And probably because then my position as I was then the president of the Institution of Structural Engineers, he has no choice, and he is also a professional. They're not in the built environment. He said, "Well, if the engineer said we should stop, please stop work." And we did the soil test. How much did it cost us? 250,000 naira.
Wow.
250,000 naira. The man assumed that the soil capacity, that is, a square meter of that soil can carry 200 kilonewton, 200 loads. By the time we did the soil test, that soil can only carry 100. So that building will have just come down, on completion. So we had to, fortunately, we were just digging. We had to reposition additional column, what you people call pillars, additional columns with bases in order to reduce the load for the already existing one. You haven't gone beyond the foundation. So you can see that the point I'm making here is that the cost of soil test is so infinitesimal. In fact, it's less than 0.01% of the cost of the building. You want to, even your ordinary house, there's no house you build now with less than 50 million. How much are you going to do? Even you are going to do a borehole, the whole thing won't cost you more than 200 to 250,000 naira. But the client will say, no, it's not necessary. Whereas it is important. So that's why I said client is number one culprit. Then secondly, clients also don't believe, some clients don't believe in professionalism. You know, they believe that but what I tell them is that, look, this building we are building here and there, they are not a natural method of building houses. Our natural method is to put mud together and make it, you know, a bungalow, and we're comfortable. Which I mean, you know, but now we are building high rise. We borrowed it from them, and then if we borrow from them, then we should follow as much as possible the various methods they are using in their own country to make sure that our business. So that is the number. That's number 2. So client is the major people that are responsible for building collapse.
Why is it necessary for a developer to obtain a planning permit, and what do you stand to lose if you do not get this document?
Let me tell you, if you don't have a planning permit, you will have a sleepless night till the end of your life.
Wow.
That's what I always tell people. If you don't have a planning permit, you will not have a peace of mind. You cannot sleep. Because anytime the state agency or any enforcement is coming to your area, I'm sure your BP will go up. So why are you giving yourself that? So it's important that you must get it. But in this part of the world, it's very sad that even those you expect turnkey projects, it's not, I can understand if the illiterates are doing it. They don't know much about it, but those who are educated, you will find out in the high-browed area, go to Ikoyi, Lekki, they will not get it, and they will. It's another long story. It's not interesting. It's not good. I always advise people against it. Don't develop, or even don't dig your land or establish a foundation without getting planning permits.
So would like you to state really in clear terms now, because you just talked about why it is important, the fact that you might have sleepless nights and all of that. But really, is there any big thing to lose if I don't have a planning permit? What are those things that are in stake if I don't have it?
You know, elsewhere, I've just told you.
Yeah, you lose peace of mind.
You lose peace of mind. You have a sleepless night if you don't have planning permit. Take the rest. And let me tell you, buildings is so significant. You cannot hide it in your pocket. If I'm having phone in my pocket and you don't know, but building is very obvious. Everybody will see. As long as the building is there, everybody will see that building is there, and they will go ask you, produce your planning permit. You can't produce it, and you will be bribing or trying to impress, the officers and things like that, and it's not in the best interest. It's not in your interest. It's not in the interest of anybody. And let me tell you again, it also it's a colossal loss to the state, because the state spends a lot of money to do all this monitoring. When they are going out, they go out with enforcement, police escort, and all this is a lot of money. If the state tells you how much they pay for each enforcement and things like that, you will be worried. Wow. So at the end of the day, it's either they took your building. When they say they took, they will remove part of the window or part of the wall. At times, it's total demolition. Everybody's losing. And that's when the public will be saying, oh, why are they not saying it? Is it not there? And they said it takes the law grind gradually because it catches up with you, but it's eventually going to catch up with you. So that's it.
Where can a citizen go to report activities that may cause flooding, and probably obtain information that would help them in deciding to buy a parcel of land and prevent flooding?
The question is, do we have such structure? What I said one thing earlier, that if you really want to build in water in a wetland area, the best thing, take a copy of your survey and go to the planning department or officer of drainage services and ask them to chart that thing for you, whether it's inside the drainage wetland or drainage alignment or drainage right of way. That's your first port of call if you really want to prevent your house or or your development being flooded in future. The other thing is that you can ask LASPA, Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, to actually forward your document to Ministry of Environment to help give their own assessment. So you have two MDAs to go to. Whether you go to Ministry of Physical Planning, then LASPA, then go to Ministry of Environment.
So in what area can a developer or a prospective developer engage your services as an hydraulic engineer, you know?
All my life, I've been doing a lot of, formally, I've been doing a lot of drainage design network. I can point my fingers to several drainage systems in Lagos I've actually been involved with in terms of design even before the master plan came out, and also which I've physically supervised our construction. If the construction of all the drainage crossing on this Lekki thing that was upgraded from Oniru all the way to VGC was actually done under my supervision. We did that between 2009 and 2012 when LCC was building the road. So we actually gave them all the drainage. Then the same thing with the Lagos Badagry that you are seeing there. I designed most of the crossings for them and the alignments where they take.
I trust that you enjoyed the conversation because I did. Well, hit the subscribe button below, like the video and share with friends, family and colleagues. You can also head on to our Facebook page at Cable Plus Property. On Instagram, you can also follow us at Cable Plus Property. My name is Oiza and I'll see you in the next video.